Hello and welcome back to Dead Killer Studios. This is episode 3 of creating a game using the S&box game engine. Alright. I don't have a name for the game yet. We left off with a pretty terrible health bar, some sandbags. The enemy moved a little bit better, alright, at least following the states they're supposed to do, but not doing exactly how I'd like them to. But that was last time. Actually, too much time ago. Sorry about that. I've been slacking off with college starting up and all that, and insert some more excuses here. But I finally got off my ass and got to work. So the goal from the last video was to get some more UI, maybe some sound in, and to actually get a player model and enemy model working. Well, that didn't happen. See, what you're currently seeing is this farmer guy that I decided I was going to make. I asked Copilot to design some kind of rancher dude, and then I tried to make a model off that. And unfortunately I made some fatal flaws while modeling this character. While I actually like how he turned out and looked, it was the rigging and animating that soon all the problems would reveal themselves. The polygons and everything seemed to be too sharp of angles, causing the weirdest of animations and deformations happening, especially in the arms when I was trying to build into elbows. It just made it super weird, and I was just like, sharp angles cutting through everything. I spent so much time weight painting, which is what you're seeing me do. This is just like hours of work and trying to figure it out. But I am definitely taking his cowboy hat. There were duplicate points everywhere. Yeah, and I made his arms too short in the beginning, so he couldn't even be able to grab the gun. The proportions were all off. I was trying hard to find a solution to make sure to see if I could get it work. But I am the most beginner 3D artist. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I scrapped the whole guy and just restarted. I basically made the same guy again, but extended his legs and arms, and also didn't create any of the features like the eyes or eyebrows or mustache or like something like that. Because I was thinking that I can use this guy as the base for everything and texture paint it differently. So then bam, same model, but different player or different models. What? But this guy turned out much better, and his walk animation is looking good. And I actually made a good walking animation so it doesn't look like he's sliding around everywhere. And then I just have to understand how to make him walk backwards and walk in all the directions without manually animating all of those directions. Hopefully for the next video, I will set up the player model's entire anim graph so it looks good and everything's working. But I slapped him in to be our player for now. Alright, so we got this regulation guy who I have been assured is regulation approved. I wanted to get the gun working, even though I completely redid the gun as well, but when I bone merged the gun to the player, it just never freaking aligned. The gun was never in the right rotation, so I don't know how to fix it. So I just slapped the gun onto the player game object itself, and that's it. I'm so tired of this game. Oh my goodness. Everything about learning, it's so hard. Everyone has big dreams and aspirations, but I don't think I can do it. There's only gonna be one gun right now so far. I'm hard coding this one gun in right now because there's no pistol, no nothing. Maybe eventually we'll get there. We'll see though. Alright, so I went in there and graphed the heck out of the gun, which is not hard, mostly coding the player stuff rather than messing around with anything. The anim graph's pretty easy. And then once I got working, you can see I allowed you to reload and shoot. I created a fire it so the animation lines up well with it, and you can't just shoot forever. So then I did sounds, which are pretty easy to do if they're based on the animation. You just put a sound element inside of the animation at the frame you want it to play, and bam, very easy. And this would apply to particles too, except, I don't know, that doesn't exist anymore. You can't add a particle event. I'm sure there's some way to do it some way, but I could not figure it out. That is an old system, part of a legacy thing, Source 1, and they're doing something else, or they did something else, and I'm unaware of it, but I have no idea. So, as of right now, I have yet to freaking figure out the muzzle flash, and that's why there's little green screen on the barrel of the gun. So, just letting you know for that. Alright, next let's talk about the other stuff I did, was the sounds and UI. But before I move on to that, let's just take a detour and talk about Let's talk about game producers and technical artists. And if you don't know what those are, you probably still won't because I'm going to explain it terribly. All right, first, technical artist. While I am no artist, I don't know much about this as much as I know about game producers, but these are the artists that it is their job description to know how to get stuff from the art world into the game world and all the little nitty-gritty details about that. So when issues arise, like UV editing, exporting the models, freaking importing the models, putting them, like, yeah, that's all them animations. It's all them, and if I had one of those, and they could, like, know what I was doing wrong, and they could get in here and just fix it all, that would be so awesome. And I've never worked with one of them before. But on the other hand, let's talk about game producers. All right, I worked with a game producer. His name was Dan. Shout out Dan. And he knew how particles worked. He understood all of that, and sound and getting them into the game. That's what he was doing. He was getting sound and particles and lighting, and he just knew all of that freaking weird stuff that I have nothing to know about. Because I wish I had a Dan right now, because he could make a muzzle flash for me really easy. And I bet he would be great. And I just wish I had some of those people, and shout out them. So if you're technical artist, game producer, yeah, keep doing it. You're great. I love you. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, technically this was before I did the gun sounds, but the order of my recordings is pretty wonky this week. And I was like, I didn't even record the last half of my progress for this video. I wanted to get the UI and get the ammo count down, so that would be out of the way after some trial and error. I really am trying to get the hang of HTML and CSS. I wish I had more knowledge of it already, but you can only learn by trying. So I asked Cowboy to help me come up with some ideas and designs and figure out how to attach the ammo, much like I did the health. That was pretty easy. Still compiled. Sometimes, not even sometimes, this is how it works. If the syntax wasn't properly done or it compiled, it would still compile, but then it would no longer exist as a component on your game component. So you'd have to re-add it, or you wouldn't be able to re-add it until you fix what it was, and then you'd have to throw it back on there, which was very annoying until I figured it out, and I couldn't figure out how to add the freaking other UI for the hurt screen, because I did the hurt screen pretty early. It's all the order of it. It's terrible. But I wanted something a little bit more complex, but it is worked out. And so you got a simple red hit for the feedback. All right, so this is the part that I did not record, so enjoy whatever you're saying right now. Added the hurt sound, so when you get hurt, it's reactive. Then I worked on adding the crosshair and hit marker, so you actually see where you're aiming, and then you get a little notification that you're actually hitting something. The hit marker, or the crosshair was easy. I just slapped a crosshair PNG in the middle of the screen. And then hit marker, I just made the same one, but like I put a red X in it. For the hit marker, I needed some kind of function, so I created a show hit marker function inside of the razor file. I keep calling razor files HTML because that is what it is, but technically they are razor files. I called that method every time my character hit the enemy. It took some time, but I got it working where it would start off and turn on when I hit an enemy, but it still stayed on and didn't go away. But then I eventually figured it out. I just had to assign a task, I believe. The last thing out of all of that was I wanted the hurt sound and the hit marker sound. I actually couldn't figure out how hurt sound until the hit marker, because that is the one that I did first. I don't know if that made any sense. Anyways, it's very simple. Once I figured out how sound works, you just import your sound file, right click on it, create a sound event, and that's the thing with S&box. I know in Unity you have to like create a model thing, but you have to, every thing you bring into your asset browser, you have to right click and create that version of it in S&box basically. And then once you have that with your sound, you got a sound, you just go where you want the sound to play in your queue and sound.play, put this file path. Bam. Very simple. It took me a little bit too long to figure it out, but not that bad. Boom. That brings us to the present, I think. So I feel like there's a lot of feedback now. I know the crosshair looks bad, but all I have to do is replace the PNG for the crosshair and hit marker. So I'll make something a little bit better and a little bit bigger or something. I'll work something out and maybe do custom reticle stuff eventually, because that shouldn't really be too hard. I'm liking the UI more. It's turned into something of a real video game. I added rifle sounds. So let us look towards the future and figure out what is next. As you may have noticed, the character is actually like 45 degrees to the left for some reason. No matter how I place it, no matter how I rotate it, that just is what it is. I don't know why. So for next time, there's a lot of bug fixes that I'm going to be doing. Obviously, fixing that. Then next, the player death should be a real death. Right now, you still move. And then part of it is actually making a real death mechanic that does something and goes somewhere. And then I have to fix the enemy death because the game object is still active. I gotta actually make them dead. You can just keep shooting it and getting hit markers because the box is still there. It's just playing the death animation. It really wants to shoot you, but it just can't. But trust me, it does. Next, the reload needs to be capped. You can always reload, even on full ammo and before the animation completes, so gotta stop that. Make sure you can't interfere with that. But that's the bug fixes for the next episode. For the patch notes, I don't know if you can have patch notes in a game you're currently developing. I definitely don't think so. Anyways, scratch that. I can and I will next time. I'm going to update the game manager so it has a spawn limit, a spawn cap. Also make it have 3 waves, or make it have waves, so for the time being it can have a real gameplay loop, and add UI that informs the player of how many enemies are left to kill. Since we're going to be updating our game manager and the player's death, we shall add a win screen and a lose screen, so it can actually be a real video game with win and lose conditions. Add different hit markers, one for the head and one for the body. I had the PNG and I had it ready. It's just I have to do a couple more things to tweak it. I have to add a head. That's what I have to do. I have to distinguish the head and the body on the enemy side, and also make it so that hitting the head does more damage. So I will probably do that before the hit marker, and then that's just slapping in the hit marker. I'm going to update the enemy code and animgraph so it is like the player, and give the enemy the same gun and hurt noise and gun noise so that the player knows when they're dying, and have some more sounds going. Maybe have the model flash red or something. Alright, and then future goals, which will probably be the video after this. I am really going to work hard and try to do this as fast and good as I can. But it's not, I don't think I'm going to do it by the next episode, but I want the next episode to be a lot of function, to really get all the code base down, to really just have the game there, the bones, the skeleton of it all. And then after that, I want to redo the map. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of freaking staring at these white walls and like everything. I have to like learn how to make the map, how to get the textures, how to make everything look good. If I make more things in Blender, if I just use Hammer for everything, because I don't want to use other people's assets. Like that's not what I want to do. I want to make all my own. I want everything to be me. I don't want to just like drag and drop everything to make the map. I want the whole map to be me. I want the game to be mine. And so yeah, I gotta figure that out. I want to focus on the game aspect and get that all down pat, so that all I have to actually worry about is the art, and put all the hours into that and turning into a game that looks like a 3rd grader designed it, but it will be my 3rd grade designed video game. And also hopefully fix the enemy and player animations and get them textured. It's really just all about those textures and stuff. Alright, that has been it for me. Stay tuned for all of that on next week's episode and more. I appreciate everyone for following the series. Feel free to give me tips and tell me how wrong I am. Tell me how bad everything looks. Follow me at the places below. Check out my homies that stream. I'm typically hanging out with them, Majin Yoshi and Static Nightlight. So feel free to hop in and chat, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Peace out.